Payment administration. Who's going to make those payments to everybody? My finance staff loves me. You got to go with set up all these quarterly payments and all. So one of the things I would suggest if you're going to get into this, and if you have a program, maybe look at this, is try to make them consistent. We do up to quarterly. We do quarterly, semi-annual, or annual, and we do them always on a quarter end. I don't want my finance staff to have to do payments on January 3rd, January 18th, and February 2. Okay, do it so that they have groups and batches to do. Okay, because on the administrative cost of your organization, and also make sure that you won't make mistakes by missing something. Okay, but who's going to do that for you? You do it in-house, or you can outsource it. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then the accounting, two big things is you've got the 1099, I think there's also a contemporary is 1098, that's that payment voucher that goes at the end for the people that include it on their tax return. You have to have those done every year. Is that going to be done in-house or outside source? And then there's a reserve calculation. Gift annuity payment streams, what you are paying back based on this life expectancy, have to be recalculated annually by the charity that issues these and showed as liabilities on your audit. Someone needs to be able to do that reclass calculation, calculate those reserves, and then have that disclosed on your audit. The auditors are going to want to look at those numbers, okay? Crescendo and PG Calc both, besides their illustration software, this is called Crescendo Pro that does this illustration, also have administrative software. Crescendo is called Crescendo Administration. But it actually will import the numbers off of this into that, and then it will actually do the recalculation of the reserves by pushing a button, and they all get redone. We pick out a couple options, and they will actually do the 1099s. They will even print out the checks for you on a quarterly basis and direct deposits if you decide you want to do direct deposit. Okay, so again, that package, and why I kind of like Crescendo, they all kind of come together, is good if you're going to administer these internally. Okay, or if you want to just have a second backup to an outside vendor that's doing it for you to double check what they're doing. Okay, so again, these are things that you have to think about from the capacity of the organization. Policy decisions. They gave you the watermelon. Remember I talked about it. As a charity, you can use the whole thing now, or you can set it aside as reserve, or a combination of that. And then also what happens at the end. When the gift matures, are they going to go to operations, or are you going to use this to fund endowment? Our policy, because we're about endowment, everything goes to endowment. And these are planned gifts. Planned gifts are typically endowment gifts. So that's how we market them, and that ours always go to endowment. Okay. And I would say that our policy is also very conservative. We take the whole thing, whatever's given, and put it into 2 reserve accounts that we use to make the payments back, invest it, make sure that that annuity gets all their payments, and then when it matures, then it moves into our endowment for general use. We take a conservative approach. Okay. And the risk of anything more than that is you start to worry about whether or not you're going to make those payments in the future day. Okay. Other policy decision is minimum age and minimum size. You'll see a lot of discussion about should I only do gift annuities for people that are 50 and older, or what is the minimum size? Should it be 5,000, 10,000, 100,000? What will I issue? By illustration, and I'm not saying that this is right or wrong, but we have no minimum age. As long as it's qualified as 90-10, I'm okay with it. It's a qualified gift annuity, I don't care. So if you do it at 30, probably not, because the payout would be something really little based on your life expectancy. We would do it. Okay. Minimum size, we do $10,000 for the first annuity, $5,000 for any subsequent for the same donor. Okay. That's what we do. It's just what we decided was the administrative federal employee. But if you want to do them for $5,000 and $2,500, feel free. But that's something that you have to decide with the board as to what you want to do in that regard. Actuarially sound pool. Frank Minton, who works with PG Calc, I'm going to have his information up here in a minute, used to be on the board of American Council on Gift Annuities. We brought him in as a consultant a few years ago to look at our program and said, Frank, how are we doing? Are we healthy? That kind of stuff. And one of the things that he cautioned us on is, and we're okay, is that his analysis is that for you to have an actuarially sound gift annuity pool, so you have all these people that are in your gift annuity pool that you're making payments to, you have all these reserves, to make it actuarially sound, because remember they live longer, a lot of times now, you need about 100 annuitants to get rid of the variables. If you have like one annuitant, they could die tomorrow, they could live an extra 20 years past life expectancy. How does you make that pool of annuitants actuarially sound? To take out the outliers to make it balanced. You said you need about 100 or more. Okay? So this is something that you need to consider, is that if you're going to start a gift annuity program, or if you're going to advise a client to get a gift annuity from somebody, what is their sound size of the pool? Are they an actuarially sound gift annuity pool? And if you're a charity thinking about getting into this, how are you going to get to 100 in a short period of time? Figure out your marketing plan and all, because that's where you need to be stable. Okay? And then a self-administration or outsourcing. You can do it all in-house. We're anal retentive. We do everything in-house. Okay? Or you want to outsource it to somebody else that does this on a regular basis. So unless you can have the capacity to do it, outsourcing is a good idea. Okay? This is highlights of our program. I don't want to sell, but just so you know, we do offer gift annuities for any of our endowment funds at the Community Foundation. So any of your clients that wants a gift annuity, if they will want to benefit an endowment fund with us, including an endowed donor advised fund for their children later on, we will do the gift annuity. Okay? Field of interest unrestricted. For all of you that are in agencies, if you are an agency and you want to establish a gift annuity program, you can do so through us on the basis that you have to have a $100,000 endowment fund with us. You have to go through our gift annuity training, which we do about twice a year. You use all of our agreements and stuff, and then we have no fee for that. What we require is that at the time the annuity matures, 90% goes into your endowment, 10% goes into our unrestricted endowment. So kind of a back-loaded fee, if you want to think about it that way. Keep in mind that the unrestricted endowment you can all apply for grants from, okay? But remember this, when we're doing gift annuities for all of you, we're the general creditor, not you. So this is how my board is comfortable with the fact that there's something that's coming in later on to build up our reserves to support our gift annuity program for all the agencies. We've assumed all those risks for your benefit. So that's what they made it comfortable with. And we actually, right now, about the 175 nonprofits that have an endowment with us, we have 42 that are in our gift annuity program. So we have a good pool of you all. Happy to work with you. Come on, do presentations for your donors and things of that nature. Our pool. We actually, sale of CFSM program. How about scale? Scale of CFSM program, sorry. Remember the actuarial sound thing? We have 149. We have the largest gift annuity program in the Community Foundation in the country. About $10.7 million in face value. We've had 55 mature. They were originally issued with 5.517 in face value. And you think about, well, how they invested and then when they mature. In this illustration, if you assume a 7.5% growth rate based on the 65-year-old that gave us watermelons, the charity should get $22,686 back at the end. Okay, so they gave $10,000. That's with growth what it should be. We're averaging 5.518 or 158, and that 22 is based on the portion that's set off the charity. So we're getting almost dollar for dollar back. Okay, which is a pretty good thing, because what the ACGA rates are designed to do is assume that you're going to get about 50% back. So we've been doing pretty well on our insurance. Here's some resources. American Council of Gift Annuities are on your materials. Again, highly recommended. First of all, they're going to be setting the recommended rates, but they have other resources up there, including like an explanation of the Protection Act for antitrust and all. They also have information on state registrations and things of that nature. Really good group. Crescendo, I mentioned in the illustration. You can also do PG Cal. Crescendo actually has staff that will consult with you on the phone too. I'm sure we made personnel to buy their software, and they're like all attorneys and CPAs. I'm just generally a big fan of Crescendo. Okay. Outsourcing. Where's Chris? Shout out to them. I contacted like 7 banks. And I anticipated this presentation and said, well, does Charitable gift annuity illustrations? Or will do gift annuity outsourcing? The only local bank that said yes. Okay? Northern said they do it on a case-by-case basis. Okay? In special circumstances. But they were it. Okay? So locally, I guess it's us and them. All right? And then Frank Minton and who is with PG Calc and through their website has a great book called Charitable Gift Annuities, the Complete Resource Guide. It's a binder with forms on a CD. It's on my shelf with little tabs of all the pages I constantly use. It goes through like all those explanations about you're establishing an annuity for yourself and your spouse. What you have to do to avoid marital tax issues. That's all in his book. Great resource, okay? And the one that's not up on here is a gentleman by the name of Brian Klontz. Klontz is C-L-O-N-T-Z, okay? Brian is with Charitable Solutions. She's smiling because she knows Brian. Brian is had my job at the Atlanta Community Foundation for years. He now works with this group, and what Brian does is he will actually do reinsurance and all, but he will actually come in, help you set up your gift annuity program, and will evaluate your gift annuity program. So the story there is we actually had him come in to look at ours when the market started to tank and make sure we were in trouble. And his staff just kept on calling us about, with all these additional questions to the point my staff got nervous. So I called Brian and I said, we have a problem? He said, no, the problem is that you're number one in every category that we've looked at so far in the country. So he was trying to figure out what we were doing with all the reserves and how we had layered it. And so he now has other community foundations come to us to set up the programs. But he will come in, if you have a gift annuity program, and he will look at every annuity, he will calculate what your reserves should be, and he uses it on a modified actuarial table based on the fact that they're going to live probably 2 more years longer, and tells you, based on those type of things, are you safe? So if you want to have your program looked at, Brian is a great resource for those type of things. That, in a nutshell, is how to explain a gift annuity using a watermelon, how to grow a fertile garden, and generally the tax rules and all that apply